Few days then for that young man. He signed a new deal only earlier in the week, and there he is now with the match ball, player of the match as well, unsurprisingly, with that first senior hat-trick. Brilliant evening, but who saw that coming from Manchester United and from Amad Diallo, who toiled for so much of that game against Southampton. He's receiving the raptures of the Manchester United faithful. And well-deserved in the end. I mean, he bailed them out. Is a bit of an understatement, Owen.
Big time. And he deserves his new deal because he's the one, you know, even you saw in that game against Manchester City, they didn't play great, but Amad showed up right at the end in the big moments. And, you know, he's only 22, but for such a young man, he has a feel for the big moments. I mean, imagine if they would have lost to Southampton today. 82 minutes, they were 1-0 down. And somehow he just grabbed the game. He got the ball and he just kept running at people, committing people. Okay, at times you get a little bit of good fortune, like he did with the little ricochet Walker-Peters, but he makes things happen. Man United fans are used to seeing wingers get on the ball and make things happen. And Amad does that. So credit to him. You know, he's smiling, he's scoring goals. He's just, you got to love watching him.
Yeah. And at 22, to show the composure that he did. You know, because everything was on the line, really, wasn't it, for Manchester United at that point?
He's a confident player, and I think even just listen to his interview, he's got an attitude and a charisma about him that I think is exactly what Man United need a little more of. That's the one we spoke about, the ricochet, but just because he comes in with intensity, it almost helps him get that ricochet. That's the reason it does fall in his favour. And
he's so positive, isn't he, Rachel?
He wants to get at
He's straight at you.
Yeah. And it's a good finish, you know, he knows he's going to probably hit it hard and he keeps it low. Ramsdale tries as quickly as he can to make himself big and, you know, he sneaks it underneath him. But he was the one through the difference and he does it for the team, and I think just the energy he has, you know, bringing the fans involved, and those are the things. On the first half, you know, Højlund getting frustrated, you see other players, they throw the arms up, they get annoyed, they try and, you know, shoot from distance when maybe there's a better option. I feel he's the one, although he's young, he feels like he does more things for the team. And you know, that's why I think it's easy to be pleased for him to see him get the 3 goals.
I mean, you'd expect that to come from some of the more senior players, right? Not somebody who's the club is building the future around, essentially, right now.
But you could tell the way that his teammates were hugging him after he scored.
Yeah.
Do you know, they were like...
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. You know, you saved us a lot of grief.
Yeah.
And that's how they look up to him, even though he's probably one of the youngest out there. He's the guy that they get him the ball and he just runs at people. It wasn't good football, by the way. You know, they didn't play good football today. Now, Southampton were probably equal, but they had a guy out there in Diallo who he just makes things happen. You know, and sometimes that's all you need, but they definitely need to play better than they did today.
The second goal was a slicker move, the 1-2 with Christian Eriksen. Yeah,
the second goal's a great move, but again, you see him, he gets the ball in a space where he can face up Walker-Peters, he walks it down the line, and you just see here Eriksen just... the weight of the pass from him in the first instance allows Eriksen to play it first time. He knows he then has the pace and the power to accelerate. He knows the ball's going to come back to him. And that's also intelligent play. This little pass here, you know, it's soft enough that he knows it's coming first time. Beautiful ball from Eriksen. Just that's a difficult pass.
That's a really brilliant ball. Pass. But not one other United winger would make that run after playing that ball to Eriksen. They'd stand still. He plays the ball and he runs forward, Manish. He runs into an area where he can affect the game. That's why Eriksen plays in the ball. That's a difficult finish. By the way, you know, the young guy, he just gets it and he runs at you. And he puts defenders under pressure. And you got to love that. I love just the fact he keeps running. You know, he wants to make things happen. I know it sounds very simple, but it's important.
Yeah, Xerxes was involved in that first. Eriksen clearly in the second. Substitutes played a massive role in the end.
Yeah, well, for both sides. You know, I think obviously for United, and Southampton kind of lost control of the game. I mean, that's why the 20th. You know, he played so well. We were brave. Tried to play football. Oh, Bellis, he's a good young player. Can't make mistakes like that. But one thing, Rachel, we mentioned, Diallo, he presses, doesn't he? He's so good pressing.
And if, you know, he makes you think you've just a few more seconds than you do, and then he's on top of you. It's really poor, really poor from Southampton. But Amad's done that. A few goals United have scored recently, where it's that pressure that he comes at pace, sneaks it, and you know, you see the stats there from just today. He was really the only one that you could highlight.
Because up until that point, you would have to argue Onana was probably the best United player.
Oh, easily. I mean, the amount of saves that he had to make Onana in the game, he was so busy. I mean, at 82 minutes, nobody at Old Trafford would have said that game would finish 3-1. Manchester United. They didn't really look like scoring. But credit to them. They hung in there, and they found a way to win a game where it wasn't vintage.
Yeah. But also, what it does do is it just keeps alive that momentum that they generated in the previous 2 games. At one point, it felt like it was going to come to nothing. But the feel-good factor is back all of a sudden, only because of the nature in which they won that game tonight.
Yeah, you score late goals, you get an extra buzz too. I mean, Amorim looked sort of beside himself for most of the game, and then you see him at the end, there's sort of the big smirk. A lot of that's relief. It does continue the good momentum. But I do think there will be a lot of questions asked in the coming days before the weekend, because Southampton were the better team. The majority of the game.
They looked like a side bottom of the table for most of that game.
You wouldn't have said so, no. And I think for a club like Manchester United, the last 2 performances, getting after Liverpool, we understand the rivalry there. Going up against Arsenal, player down, having to fight. As a player, those things don't ask as much of you, but the character to play against a team that's bottom, that you should dominate, I think today we still didn't see enough. I still think that the players that United have, they need to be able to perform to a higher standard much more consistently.